Hi guys! Today I'm going to show you a slideshow of my trip to Iceland, the land of fire and ice. I've been meaning to do this for a really long time, I think probably since we got back, and we went in April and it's now October, so it's taken me a good long while. And also I just set this up to show you, and none of the videos would play because I don't even know why. I think I needed like an update or something, but it took me about 2 hours to figure it out, and now I can finally show you. So hopefully this will inspire you to hop on a plane and check out the beautiful, beautiful country of Iceland. So let's open up the first picture. There are some pictures, there are some videos. I'm gonna just explain a little bit. We were there for about, I believe, 4 days, and we did different things on each day, so I'll tell you a little bit about each thing. And I apologise if you hear some cars. I'm sitting nice and cozy in the living room with my laptop on my lap, but the window is just to the left of me. So let's start. Okay, so this was my son's first flight. I have asked his permission to show this picture because it's just the back of his head. But this was his first time on an aeroplane, so I thought it was a big deal, and I really wanted to preserve the moment. So that's him looking out of the window. He did not like the flight very much. He was a bit like me, a little bit panicky, a little bit scared of flying. I was extremely panicky, but we got through it. It was a 3-hour flight from where we live in the UK. And it was really easy, really quick flight. So this is the beautiful airport. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it was like Keflavik Airport. And when we arrived, it was empty, totally deserted, and so beautiful. Like when you compare this to the London airports, like just the structure, the furniture, the architecture, it was all just completely different. And I had to take a picture of the waiting area, especially with this beautiful light fitting that they had. It just was breathtaking from the minute that we arrived. Slightly different angle there. And of course the iconic sign, exit to Iceland. So we started to get really excited at this point. We hopped on a little coach, which was really, really easy. This was after we had gone from the airport to Reykjavik town. There's like the shuttles or whatever they're called that come from the airport, and they take you to the town. And it's extremely cheap, so much cheaper than like taking a taxi or anything like that. And they take you to town centre, and we just hopped on one of these little coaches, and we were the only ones, the only people on the coach. And this took us to our hotel. This was outside of our hotel, just looking over the mountains. We had clear skies. It was super, super lucky because it was forecast to rain the entire time that we were there. So it was supposed to be rain, it was also supposed to be snow, and just generally cold and grey. But we had blue skies and sunshine and clear views the entire time that we were there. So we were extremely lucky. I think it only began to snow and rain on our way back to the airport to come home. So that was great. So this was the view from just outside our hotel. We stayed at a hotel which was called Hotel Reykjavik Lights. and this was the view from our hotel window. So you just have some buildings here and the tiny little moon. I wish it would go full screen, but unfortunately we took these on a phone, so it's not a landscape, it's portrait. So the first thing we did was we headed to a nearby cafe type place just to have some food and drink and get, rested before the day. And I thought this was funny because where I live in Essex in England, we have a lot of limescale. So our ice cubes are kind of just like cloud. They just look, white. Whereas the ice cubes in Iceland were so clear we didn't even notice they were in our drinks until we started hearing them clinking together. And I just had to take a photo because the water in Iceland is like the cleanest, clearest, most delicious water that you can find. So that was really nice. And also they told us that pretty much you can drink from any water source that you find. So that was really cool. Okay, so we found a supermarket called Bonus, and their mascot was this pig, and my son was super excited about the Bonus pig, and it became our kind of mascot of the holiday. We bought the tote bag that they did, and now we always take it, we put things in it and take it out. We loved the Bonus pig. And these are really nice too, these crisps. They were like paprika flavour, I believe. And I was just laying in bed. We were pretty tired on the first day. We couldn't really do much. I think we went out for like a little walk and found some local places, like the Bonus store and things like that. But we didn't really do much upon arriving. So this is my very unhealthy beige breakfast. I went for all of the unhealthy things, none of the fruit, because I was ravenous. I just wanted to get all of the carbs and, fill myself up for the day. So I had like a cinnamon swirl, some pancakes with Nutella, and a pain au chocolat. And as you can see, my son had pretty much the same. But I mean, the orange juice counts as one of my 5 a day, right? Okay, so this is our first proper day in Iceland, and we began in Reykjavik. We found that it was a little bit confusing to get a bus because you have to pay in a certain way, and also you have to get them at a specific time. So we did end up getting a taxi, which we didn't plan to because taxis in Iceland are crazy expensive. But our hotel was pretty near to Reykjavik town, so it's fine. And this was our first stop, which is the famous church. I'm really going to try not to butcher the pronunciation. So, Hallgrímskirkja, I believe. Hallgrímskirkja. Hallgrímskirkja. I believe that's kind of how you pronounce it. It's a pretty long name, and we spent the entire time not able to. This is a statue outside, and this is a little close-up of the beautiful architecture. You see the sun in the background. It's a pretty nice day. So they had a choir there at the time that we were there. I think there's going to be a video in a second of them singing, and it sounded absolutely beautiful. It sounded angelic. So we stood and we watched that for a little while. This was the interior of the church. You can see how amazingly it's been built, with these arches and these arched windows and the people sitting. You can see the choir at the back. was just a short snippet of the video, but the music was just incredible. The singers, they were just, it was lovely, and especially since it's a different country, and it was my first real kind of cultural experience because I am a Disney girl. I would always go to Disney if I could, but this holiday was tailor-made to my son because he did not enjoy Disney. It was not his thing. I think you either love it or you hate it because it was just too crazy busy for him. He did not enjoy it at all. So I decided to ask him where he wanted to go, anywhere at all that he wanted to go within reason, and he picked Iceland. He really wanted to go visit Iceland, so that is what we did. And because he picked it, we could tailor make it to him, and it was more of a holiday. You know, sometimes when you go on a holiday with the kids, it's a little bit more stressful, and you come home and you feel like you need a holiday because you're fighting over what to do. You can't always compromise because maybe one of you wants to hike, one of you wants to play in the pool, but this way he picked where we went, so he couldn't complain about anything really, and we just did, you know, we just saw the sights and did what tourists do. This is the view from the top of the church. They have a viewpoint. You travel up in an elevator and you can see all of Reykjavik town surrounded by the water and the mountains. It was pretty scary for me because I really do not like heights at all. I hate heights. Oops, sorry about that. I have a phobia actually of heights, or of falling, I guess, not of the actual height, but it was still an incredible experience to see the houses. And there's the statue from above. So that was a little view of the tops of the houses. So this is me standing looking out of the viewpoint. The only way I was able to do it was because there was a wall up to here, so I couldn't fall, and there's obviously like fencing type stuff here too, so I felt like I was safe. Just another little bit of the view. So we left the church and we walked into the town of Reykjavik, and turning back, this is the view that you get of the church, and the sky was blue and there was nobody around. We went just after the Easter holidays, so because we weren't going for long, it wasn't like missing school, you know, taking him for a week out of school or anything like that, because you're not supposed to do that here in the UK. But it was after the main Easter holiday, so everybody had gone back home and it was thoroughly peaceful. This is the Rainbow Road. I believe they did this for Pride a few years ago, so we walked down here and then tried to get a picture of the church. There were a few people, but it was a pretty awesome picture to get. This is, I believe, a bubble tea shop. I just loved the way it looked, so bright and so inviting. And this is when we had just got into the town and started to see what it was like. It was really interesting because wherever you are in the main town, whenever you come to an opening, you can always see the water, which is crazy. And there were cats everywhere. They're pretty big on cats in Reykjavik, so I took pictures of everything that I could that involved a cat. So there's this little guy in the window. There was this graffiti cat, and we all took turns standing under it and having a picture. There's me. don't know why I left that in. I think these are like fish. Are these fish? I don't even know, but they're having a little moment. All of the graffiti is like really sweet and nice to see. There's another cat of Iceland, gift store. And a real cat inside a gift shop. We felt like we couldn't leave. We just wanted to stay with this cat because she's so cute. She lives in this shop and I think she sleeps there most of the day. There was even a sign stroking the cat. Ophelia. Yes, I am real. My name is Ophelia. I am soft and so sweet. I eat dried fish. I am the neighbor's cat and I am not for sale. How cute. Just another tapestry of cats. Sorry. This was just some art on the street. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it just provides like a really bright pop of colour next to the grey of the floor tiles. And all the roofs are like red as well, which gives a really good pop of colour. A fire hydrant, just because it looked cool. This building I thought looked really cool. It's like wide, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's depictions of like faces in the windows. I can't remember if they were like painted or stained glass or anything, but I just thought they looked really cool. You see how empty the streets are, and when you look down any gaps you can see mountains and water, you know, the lakes, the sea. This was a little square, a little park, and they had a museum which is in an old public toilet. So it used to be that you could go down these stairs. Sorry, my throat. And it used to be a public toilet, and now it is a museum, a punk museum. So I thought that was really cool. I took a picture. You have to pay to go in, so I didn't go in because I didn't think it would be my thing, but I still thought it was really interesting to have it there. A pub, the Drunk Rabbit. And I thought this looked kind of Alice in Wonderland-esque with the rabbit. So I took a picture of that. A little Viking ship on the roof of I believe it was a cafe. Just everywhere you look there's little like, oh, my stomach just made a crazy noise. There's like random points of interest just absolutely everywhere. It's so cool. This is a pig or a boar, and he's dressed in a wool onesie. It was just so interesting. There was never a point where we were stood around like doing nothing. There was always something to do, something to look at, some amazing nature point or something. And this was just our first day. So come in and try the worst pizza that one guy on TripAdvisor ever had in his life. And this sign was really good because this lured me in because I love pizza and I wanted to see what the pizza was like. And it was so good, you guys. It was so good. Food in Iceland is very expensive. I guess because a lot of it is like imported, or you know, they have to really cultivate it to grow it because nothing is like very cold and very barren kind of thing. But I know this looks a little bit plain. I'm vegetarian, but it was so tasty, honestly, delicious. And this is my son's meal. Fish and chips, but like posh fish and chips. He said it was amazing, and it was a huge, like this plate was like a giant rectangle. You can see it nearly takes up the whole table. So that's like another view. And then we walked out past the town and we came to this, which is the Harper concert hall, and it is made entirely of glass. You can't really see from here, but the panels are kind of like a honeycomb shape to give the effect that it has. And it looks really impressive. You can't really tell from far away, but I think this was the view from just standing next to it, and this is what it looks like up close. We didn't go in because we didn't really have anything to do inside there on this day, but so you see the way the light gleams in pink, blue, white, kind of green. And again, it was pretty empty. There were just a few people around. But I just thought this was amazing, especially against the blue of the sky. Beautiful. Another little close-up. This is like a little sculpture that was outside. I guess it's maybe supposed to be like a DNA strand, or at least it reminded me of that. And as you keep walking, after the town, if you just walk out, we didn't really know where we were going, but it's lined with these rocks. And all the rocks in Iceland have tiny little holes all in them because they are like lava rocks kind of thing, like the lava from the volcanoes has made these holes, I believe. So they looked very different from the rocks back home. That was a little bit loud. We saw these stacks of rocks, and we thought it was really interesting, but we didn't add to it because sometimes tourists do things and they kind of follow suit of what everybody is doing, but sometimes the locals don't particularly appreciate it, so we weren't sure if it was a tourist thing or if it was just what people do in that area. So we left it alone, but we did take a picture. I don't know if you can see very well, but there's just stacks and stacks of rocks, pretty impressively balanced. You see. This was the Sun Voyager, the Viking ship, and this is just a sculpture that's just a little further out of town. I saw some beautiful photos of the northern lights that people had taken, but unfortunately we did not see the northern lights. It was clear enough, but I think with it being April we were just a little bit too late, so we just got some pretty good pictures of it during the day. I thought this guy was funny. He's just an inflatable Viking type guy. This was a record shop that I thought looked really good because of all the paint, the like murals or graffiti on the wall. And these were two polar bears flagging down the entrance of a gift shop. I believe this is a parliament type building, but there wasn't really any sign postage that we could find, and I took a picture, but I forgot to look it up, look up where we were at the time, so I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure because I'm sure I saw it on a list somewhere of things to see in Iceland. This was my little haul that I got. On the first day I got a magnet for the fridge, a little pin badge, and some rose quartz. And the funny thing was, we found this in a market that we stumbled upon inside a building. And the lady She heard us speaking English. Everybody really speaks English in Iceland, which is so handy for the language barrier. But she heard our accent and she asked where we were from. So I said that we were from Essex, and she said that she was too. And I asked her whereabouts, and we literally were from the same town. So what are the odds of going to Iceland and finding somebody who comes from your exact town? It was very, very coincidental. So we chatted to her. She was very sweet. She gave us some free lava rock candle holders and incense holders. And she just put them in a bag and gave us a bunch of free stuff. It was really sweet. So our second proper day, because we arrived on day 1, we had day 2 in Reykjavik, so this is really day 3, but it's our second big day. We took a tour and we went to the national park, and we also went to I believe it was Gullfoss waterfall, and then we swam. Oh, and we saw the geysers that spray the water, and then we swam in a hot spring, natural hot spring, and oh my goodness, nothing like it. So this is my son looking out of the window as we left the hotel. This is the landscape. So Iceland is very different. I kind of missed the green, like the grass of home, but it's kind of like a moss, I believe, like a yellowish kind of golden moss. And not a lot of trees grow. They have like these very short, dark green trees that I'm sure our tour guide told us they literally imported these trees, but I'm not 100% sure. So this was the beautiful national park. And again, I'm going to try not to butcher the pronunciation. I believe it is pronounced Þingvellir. Þingvellir. Think as in think about it. Vet as in the place that you take your cat or other animals are available. And lir. I don't know. Maybe like you leer at somebody. Þingvellir. And again, it was pretty empty. We had a long time to walk around and see the sights, and it is just amazing. Just seeing it on screen doesn't do it justice, because it was like being on a different planet almost, or on the set of a film. It did not seem like we were really there. Again, I asked my son's permission because, you know, we're both wearing glasses, can't really see what we look like. But this was the very first photo that I realised my son is taller than me, and I am not short. I'm 5'9", for context. So I did not know that he was taller than me, really. I hadn't picked up on it, I suppose, until I saw this picture. So, yeah. Don't know why this is so dark. Let me turn the brightness up. So that's just an overview of the park. You have the rocks, the trees, the water, the lakes, the mountains, the sky. And this was just a close-up of some houses and a church. I thought this was like quite an artsy kind of style photo, just through the branches. I think I get that from my dad. My dad takes photos, so I kind of try and take more kind of arty kind of photos. And this was the walk back to the car park from the national park. And it was just empty, so I took a little video because I thought it just looked unreal. just a little puddle of water. This was out of the window of the coach. Some mountains again. The landscape. Okay, so our next stop was the geysers, I believe it's pronounced. So basically the heat from underneath makes the water boil, and then all of a sudden they erupt, or some of them just simmer and bubble a little bit. Sorry, my throat, a little bit annoying. So you can see the steam from the heat, and they did have ropes around so that we didn't, get burned. And the water had like a milky kind of cloudy look to it, which was really interesting. You can see where the hole goes down deep into the earth, and now you're going to see it erupt in a second. You can see it bubbling. You know when it's about to erupt because the big bubble. And then I turn to follow the steam because I think that it's over, and then it erupted again and I just missed it a little bit. So that's really cool. So a little bit further down, just down here, there is another viewpoint, and we thought we were super clever because nobody was stood there. You can see everybody was stood here. So we stood at the second viewpoint thinking we were super smart, and you don't get to see it really, but you'll see the water come towards us, and we got absolutely soaked from head to toe. Completely soaked. So if you wait for the eruption and you see the water getting closer and closer to us, I believe it'll be any second. You can't really tell, but and we were wearing jeans. And the water also smells really bad. It's sulfuric, like sulfur, and my hair went completely hard and stiff. So lesson learned on that one, but it was still fun. It's like a fun memory. We just felt bad for everybody on the coach because we had to get back on and we were soaked and we smelled really bad. But this was another one. And there's some little tiny ones. You see it just bubbling away. Another little close-up of one of them just bubbling. A little bit of a bigger one. You can tell how hot they are just from the steam and the fact that it's boiling. But still, people were kind of stupid because when we went to swim in the hot springs, there were some geysers around, and we were told explicitly before we entered that we were not under any circumstances to touch them. And yet I saw somebody try to put their hand in, and luckily someone shouted and came running. But it's just crazy how you'd think to just put your hand in boiling hot water. Like, why? It was scary enough just swimming in the hot springs because sometimes you would swim over to a bit and it would be really a bit too hot and it would make me panic, and I would have to swim quickly to another part of the stream. But it was still a really crazy experience to just actually swim in nature, in like natural water, no chlorine and no chemicals, and the floor was just these little pebbles. It was just like a once in a lifetime thing. So here we stopped at, I believe it was Gullfoss waterfall. So this was my tiny and not tiny, but kind of like plain looking lunch. It was actually really tasty, and we had a beautiful view out of the window while we ate, like floor to ceiling windows and the mountains. This was the stew. This wasn't my dinner because I am vegetarian, but I think it was like a lamb or something stew. And then we headed down to the waterfall. This is the view you get from up at the top, and then you can travel down to see it up close. Oh, it's loud. So I was just trying to turn that down. And you can see how, even though it looks warm, it was actually cold. You can see the ice forming where the mist of the water is hitting the edge of this mossy kind of outcrop. So incredible, so like vast. It was really nice. We were able to get super close, as you can see. And this was like where the water went over the edge of the waterfall, and all the spray just came up into the air. Okay, next, I think this is the following day, and maybe our last day, I believe. We went to a museum called the Pearland Museum, and this was like a show, and we were sitting on a seat, and the seat became a volcano. So I thought that was really cool. It was showing you, like, you know, the natural, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, just the way that the volcano was working at that time. Some animals, a representation of a cliff and some birds, and the ice cave. So this is a replica of a real ice cave. So it's man-made and built, and then the temperature has to be such that it stays frozen. And you can see it's pretty small. We had to kind of not crawl, but kind of crouch walk through, and I loved it so much. I wanted to go back in. You can see my hair is growing, like I need to do my roots, but I had such a good time in the Pearland. This was just a little kind of tucked away part of the ice caves, and you can just see, like, I think I was pointing down and up at that point. There's like the lights embedded to make it look more magical, and again, hardly anybody there, which was really nice. So nice to have the place to yourselves. You can just take your time, you can get good photos, and I'm just so used to places like Disneyland where it's really busy all the time. So it was a nice change. This was when you get out of the ice caves, there's like a little wall, and you can write on these little blue kind of perspex circles, and someone had written, "Nice to meet you." You know, like from Batman and Robin when Mr. Freeze says it, I think. So I thought that was really funny. These were some beautiful minerals and crystals and deposits that they had on show, and I thought they were really cool. They looked like furry. They looked like it would feel like hair, but it's not. It's just fibers. I'm gonna put my legs out because my legs are completely falling asleep. Oh, that's better. As long as you can still see, okay. Yeah. And this one looks like cotton wool bubbles. Or like maybe bath bubbles. Beautiful. just think it's incredible that nature can make this kind of look. Some green. So this was at the top of the Pearland Museum. There is a viewpoint where again you can see for miles. You can just see the trees, the water, the sky, the mountains. Little panoramic view. And this was a lava rock, but some of the indentations are like as big as your finger. You could literally put your finger inside the holes. Then we went to the top of the Pearland Museum. They have like a cafe, and we ate some ice cream. This is the roof of the Pearland, and it also revolves. So wherever you're sitting, you can look a certain way, and it will move as you're eating. And this is the cafe in the middle. Afterwards, we went to view a show of the Northern Lights, which is basically like an experience, kind of cinematic, but it's all the way around you. So you look up, to your left, to your right, you're in like a sphere of video essentially, and it takes you around Iceland. And my son immediately fell asleep. I think he was tired from the previous few days. We just packed so much in, and so he fell asleep, which I thought was really cute. This was just a picture from the show. Unfortunately, we did not get to see the Northern Lights, but it's pretty much almost a guarantee if you go at the right time of year and you go for long enough so that you get a clear sky for one night. It's just incredible. Look at that. That's like a real thing that happens. It's crazy. And then before we went home, we popped into a shop. I think it's called like Flying Tiger or Tiger or something. And somebody had arranged the balloons like this, and I just, even there, I just thought, why? And I assumed it must be tourists, because it seemed like the sort of thing to do when you're a tourist. So I don't even know why I took that. I just thought it was so stupid. That's actually my last picture, and that is our holiday. We packed so much in. We did pretty much everything that is on, you know, the list of top things to do in Iceland, and we were only here for 4 days. We arrived, we went into Reykjavik Centre, we went on a tour, and then we went to the Pearland Museum, and I believe we came home on the 5th day. So, and it didn't cost, it cost about the same as it costs to do Disney Paris for us. So I think it was definitely worth it, because I think to me it was a once in a lifetime trip. My son has already decided he wants to live there. He wants to live there when he's older, because the streets were just so quiet and the nature was so beautiful, and he wants to be away from the hustle and bustle and people, I suppose. Which I wouldn't mind, because it's only a 3-hour flight, so I would just go see him all the time. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this slideshow, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to come back. I've had some really serious like life things, not like serious, but like, I mean, things that I have to deal with rather than being able to make videos, unfortunately. But I have a few books lined up to flip through, and I've finally done my slideshow, which is great. So I hope that it enthused you to visit the beautiful land of fire and ice. I will see you next time. Missed you all so much.